This is World News. I'm your host, Mariam Zian, and these are the headlines. Algerian President and Turkish President co-chaired the first session of the Bilateral Strategic Cooperation Council in Ankara and signed its declaration. The two heads of state also oversaw the signing ceremony of several agreements to strengthen the partnership. President Tebboune affirmed that relations between the two countries are witnessing an increase in dynamic, and President Erdogan stressed his country's determination to develop cooperation with Algeria in several strategic areas. Algerian-Turkish Business Forum opens in Ankara. Algerian Minister of Trade announces negotiations to establish a preferential trade agreement between the two countries. Algerian and Turkish business leaders praised the current level of cooperation and expressed their ambition for a stronger partnership. The details of your Nile news. Welcome back. First in our file, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan co-chaired the first session of the Algerian-Turkish High-Level Strategic Cooperation Council in Ankara during Tebboune's official visit to strengthen bilateral ties. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan signed the joint declaration of the first high-level strategic cooperation council between the two countries on Thursday evening in Ankara. Presidents Abdelmajid Tebboune and Recep Tayyip Erdogan oversaw the signing of agreements and memoranda of understanding to strengthen cooperation in key areas, including trade, agriculture, industry, communications, transport, and interior affairs.
وزير الفلاحة والتنمية الريفية والصيد البحري عن الجانب التركي السيد إبراهيم يوماكلي وزير الغابات. عن الجانب التركي السيد مصطفى تشيفتشي وزير الداخلية. اللاسلكية لجمهورية الجزائرية الديمقراطية الشعبية ووزارة النقل والبنية التحتية لجمهورية تركيا بشأن التعاون في مجال الخدمات البريدية والمواصلات السلكية واللاسلكية الموقعة.
The Algerian head of state said Algeria-Turkey relations are witnessing growing momentum and described them as reassuring. During a joint press conference or press statements with his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan after the signing of several agreements and memoranda of understanding, Mr. Tebboune said their talks reviewed key aspects of bilateral relations.
قد سعدت مع أخي فخامة الرئيس رجب طيب أردوغان خلال مباحثاتنا باستعراض محطات هامة تتعلق بواقع علاقات بلدينا، وهي علاقات ذات عمق تاريخي وترتكز على إرث ثقافي مشترك وعلاقات نشهد لها ديناميكية متزايدة تدعونا إلى الارتياح وتثمين الخطوات التي قطعناها للوصول إلى هذا المستوى في ظرف قصير، ظرف لا يتجاوز 5 سنوات، والذي نسعى عبر زيارتنا هاته إلى تعزيزه بتنويع التعاون الاقتصادي وتوسيع مجالات الشراكة للقطاعات الطاقة المتجددة، الزراعة، الصناعة، المناجم، وبدعم التعاون الثنائي في المجالات الثقافية والإنسانية وتثمين تراثنا التاريخي والحضاري المشترك.
President Tebboune welcomed the results of the talks, which led to the signing of several agreements. He also praised the reactivation of the Algerian-Turkish Business Forum and the launch of negotiations on a preferential trade agreement aimed at boosting trade between the two countries to $10 billion.
ويسرني أن أعبر عن ارتياحي لنتائج هذه المحادثات الثرية والمثمرة التي توجت بالتوقيع على عدد هام من الاتفاقيات. وإني أشيد بإعادة تفعيل منتدى رجال الأعمال وبدوره المحوري في التبادل التجاري وحركة الاستثمار بين المتعاملين الاقتصاديين في البلدين. ولا يفوتني أن أثمن كذلك البدء في المفاوضات على الاتفاقية التفضيلية للتجارة، ونحن متفقين في هذا الشأن على قائمة محددة من السلع، والتي من شأنها المساهمة في الارتقاء بحجم المبادلات التجارية والاستثمارات إلى حدود 10 ملايير دولار مثل ما قررناه في 2021.
In the same context, the Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune said his talks with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan included discussions on developments in the Gulf and Middle East, as well as ways to resolve crises and strengthen security. In a joint press statement, Tebboune condemned what he described as Israeli violations of international and humanitarian law and attacks on Lebanon, stressing the international community's responsibility to put an end to them.
في ظرف قصير، ظرف لا يتجاوز 5 سنوات. وفي مباحثتنا تبادلنا بطبيعة الحال الرؤى حول ملفات الساعة ذات الاهتمام المشترك، حيث تطرقنا إلى التطورات في منطقة الخليج والشرق الأوسط وسبل حلحلة الأزمات واستباب الأمن، وعربنا عن تنديدنا بانتهاكات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي للقانون الدولي والقانون الدولي الإنساني، وباعتدائه السافر على لبنان الشقيق، وبوحشية ممارسة في قطاع غزة. وقد أكدنا بهذا الخصوص على مسؤولية المجتمع الدولي في وضع حد لهذه الانتهاكات وتكثيف جهود بناء السلام في المنطقة، بما فيها الحل العادل والدائم الذي يضمن الحقوق المشروعة للشعب الفلسطيني، وعلى رأسها حقه في إقامة دولته المستقلة.
President Abdelmadjid Tebboune said that he and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan condemned what they described as Israel's violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Federal Republic of Somalia.
وعبرنا كذلك عن استنكارنا لقرار الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بانتهاك سيادة وسلامة أراضي جمهورية الصومال الفيدرالية، وهو خرق صارخ لميثاق الأمم المتحدة وتهديد للأمن والاستقرار في منطقة القرن الإفريقي.
President Tebboune said that he discussed with Recep Tayyip Erdogan the situation in Libya, the Sahel region, and the Western Sahara issue, stressing Algeria and Turkey's commitment to peaceful solutions for resolving conflicts.
كما اغتنمنا هذه الفرصة الثمينة للتطرق إلى الأوضاع في ليبيا ومنطقة الساحل وإلى قضية الصحراء الغربية، وكانت التحاليل الخاصة بهذه الملفات صريحة ومثمرة ومتطابقة، وأبرزت حرص الجزائر وتركيا على الالتزام بحلول سلمية في تسوية النزاعات والالتزام بالشرعية الدولية.
And for his part, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Turkey is determined to strengthen cooperation with Algeria in key strategic sectors, including energy, mining, transport, and agriculture. In his joint press conference with Abdelmajid Tebboune in Ankara, Erdogan said both countries are working to raise bilateral trade to $10 billion. He also noted that more than 1,600 Turkish companies operate in Algeria, with investments worth around $8 billion across various sectors.
Afrika kıtasındaki en büyük ticaret ortaklarımızdan Cezayir.
We are determined to develop our cooperation with Algeria, which is one of our largest trade partners on the African continent in many strategic sectors, foremost among them energy, mining, transport, and agriculture. We have intensified our efforts in line with our goal of reaching a trade volume of $10 billion, a target we set in 2023. More than 1,600 Turkish companies in Algeria are implementing significant projects and investments in the fields of industry, mining, agriculture, construction, pharmaceuticals, and infrastructure, with investments amounting to $8 billion.
President Erdogan described energy cooperation between Turkey and Algeria as reliable, stable, and sustainable, saying both countries are moving forward to strengthen long-term cooperation on energy security, especially natural gas supply.
Tahrik ve tertipleriyle başlayan
The war that began in our region as a result of Israeli provocations and schemes continues to negatively affect, in particular, the energy markets. We in Turkey have established and developed with Algeria over many years a cooperation in the field of energy characterized by reliability, stability, and sustainability. At the stage we have reached today, we are moving forward day by day in strengthening our long-term cooperation regarding the security of energy supplies, foremost among them natural gas.
Turkish head of state expressed Turkey's appreciation for Algeria's support for the Palestinian cause during its recent tenure as a member of the UN Security Council. At a joint press conference in Ankara with President Abdelmajid Tebboune, Erdogan said Algeria and Turkey share similar views on issues in Africa and the broader region, and reaffirmed Turkey's support for a two-state solution in Palestine.
Sayın Tebboun'la bugün bölgesel ve uluslararası.
We exchanged today views with His Excellency Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune on regional and international issues. I was pleased to see a convergence of views between us and Algeria regarding the fundamental issues concerning the African continent and our region. We are among the strongest advocates of the two-state solution vision in Palestine. As you know, the establishment of the State of Palestine was declared in Algeria on November 15, 1988. We highly appreciate the support provided by Algeria to the Palestinian cause during its membership in the United Nations Security Council over the past 2 years.
The President of the Algerian Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, held bilateral talks on Thursday with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara following an official reception at the Turkish presidential palace. President Abdelmajid Tebboune was officially received on Thursday afternoon in Ankara by Recep Tayyip Erdogan as part of his state visit to Turkey. His procession was escorted by a ceremonial cavalry unit to the entrance of the presidential palace in line with Turkey's protocol for high-level official receptions.
اعتصم رام دور.
President Abdulmajid Tebboune was awarded the Order of the State of the Republic of Turkey in Ankara by his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan. After receiving the decoration, Tebboune expressed his appreciation for the honor, describing it as recognition of his contributions to strengthening Algeria-Turkey relations and serving the shared interests of both peoples. And in turn, President Abdulmajid Tebboune awarded Recep Tayyip Erdogan the National Order of Merit at the rank of Athir in recognition of his efforts to strengthen the strategic partnership between Algeria and Turkey, as well as his contributions to promoting peace and security at both regional and international levels. Meanwhile, Abdulmajid Tebboune laid a wreath at the mausoleum of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk in Ankara and met representatives of the Algerian Turkish steel company Toshali at his residency in the Turkish capital. The Algerian-Turkish Business Forum was held Thursday morning in Ankara with the participation of Algerian and Turkish business leaders as part of Abdulmajid Tebboune's official visit to Turkey. The forum was co-chaired by Algeria's Minister of Foreign Trade and Export Promotion Kemal Rizig and Turkey's Minister of Trade Umer Bulat, with the participation of officials, investors, and representatives of economic and investment bodies from both countries.
The strong and growing presence of Turkish companies in Algeria stands out as the latest statistics from the commercial register indicate. The presence of 1,410 Turkish companies in Algeria, operating in various economic sectors. In the recent period, 90 investment projects with Turkish investments have been registered with the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency since the issuance of the new investment law. In addition, there are 30 companies currently in negotiations and studying the implementation of new projects in Algeria.
Algeria's Minister of Foreign Trade and Export Promotion Kemal Rizig said that trade between Algeria and Turkey exceeded $6 billion in 2025.
Economic data indicates a significant increase in the volume of trade exchanges, rising from approximately $4.7 billion in 2023 to over $6 billion in 2024, after reaching nearly $5.9 billion in 2023. This reflects the strength of economic relations and their capacity for continuous development. This growth has made Turkey Algeria's fifth largest trading partner, fifth largest supplier, and fourth largest customer. These indicators also highlight a relative balance in the trade structure, with Algerian exports projected to reach $3 billion in 2025, compared to imports of around $2.3 billion, demonstrating the dynamism and diversity of trade.
The Algerian minister also announced the launch of negotiations between Algeria and Turkey to conclude a preferential trade agreement.
Bilateral negotiations aimed at concluding a preferential trade agreement between Algeria and Turkey will officially commence. This long-awaited agreement represents a qualitative leap in our relations by opening markets to 20 products from each country, with each party offering competitive advantages. We have already made significant progress in this regard.
For his part, Turkish Trade Minister Ömer Bulat praised Algeria's economic reforms, describing it as one of the most important African countries due to its wide range of economic potential. Speaking at the Algerian-Turkish Business Forum in Ankara, he said bilateral trade is expected to reach $10 billion after exceeding $6 billion in 2024.
When we exclude the hydrocarbons sector, Turkey takes the lead. We have a strong relationship with Algeria, and it is our third partner in Africa, especially in construction investments. Algeria is the seventh country in terms of Turkish investments in the construction sector. Approximately $8 billion is invested by 1,600 Turkish investors and business representatives working in various sectors. Turkey is Algeria's largest partner, excluding the hydrocarbons sector. In 2024, the volume of bilateral trade reached $6.4 billion. In 2025, it reached $5.6 billion. We can achieve the 2023 target of $10 billion. There are promising opportunities in Africa. In terms of exports, Algeria is indeed a promising country. The national income in Algeria is approximately $2.7 billion. Algeria's foreign trade volume is $96 billion.
Algerian and Turkish business leaders praised the level of cooperation between the two countries, expressing their aim to further strengthen the partnership through mutually beneficial investments.
Around 157 Algerian economic operators, 120 private and the remainder from the national public companies, along with 145 Turkish economic operators, are participating. This adds to the record of economic partnerships between Algeria and Turkey and further strengthens the economic relations. This is evidenced by the signing of several agreements, particularly in the fields of agriculture, food processing and infrastructure development, including both basic and superstructure. Agreements also cover tourism, including mineral and thermal water tourism, as well as startups and other initiatives. Through these agreements, we aspire to enhance our ties and rise to the challenge of penetrating African and European markets.
In the very same context, several important economic agreements were signed on Thursday as part of the Algerian-Turkish Business Forum in Ankara. The agreements cover various sectors and aim mainly to strengthen cooperation between Algerian and Turkish investors, as well as employers' organizations in both countries. Algeria's Minister of Foreign Trade and Export Promotion Kamal Rizig held bilateral talks with his Turkish counterpart Ömer Bulat, reviewing the current state of economic trade and relations between the two countries. The two sides also discussed ways to strengthen cooperation and expand investment in partnership opportunities across various sectors of mutual interest. Algeria and Turkey are expanding their economic partnership, with the construction sector emerging as a key driver of cooperation. Strong Turkish participation at Bilateral 2026 reflects growing investment momentum backed by shared political will and rising ambitions in infrastructure and industrial development. Marwa Blauer has more.
The growing strategic alignment between Algeria and Turkey is becoming increasingly visible, particularly in construction and public works. A strong Turkish presence at Bilateral 2026 in Algiers highlights this sector's role as a major pillar of bilateral cooperation.
We are here in Algeria at the 2026 Bilateral exhibition. We have participated in this exhibition 10 or 11 times. We have a very strong presence in the Algerian market, especially in quarries and mines. We have more than 100 mines in Algeria. The production that comes out of the quarries is generally used in roads and buildings.
Turkish companies continue to expand their footprint in Algeria, encouraged by investment incentives and easier business mobility. With its market size and economic stability, Algeria has become a preferred destination for Turkish investors, especially as the country accelerates major infrastructure projects.
There are many facilitations, especially between Turkey and Algeria. There are facilitations in trade, in industry. there are facilitations in the entry and exit routes between Algeria and Turkey. For this reason, there are more than 100 or 200 Turkish companies in this exhibition, and they continue to deal with Algeria on the subject of construction.
From highways and rail networks to development projects in southern Algeria, Turkish firms are positioning themselves as growing industrial and technical partners.
We have respected customers and also strong people in the Algerian market. They work in state projects, in Tindouf, in Tamanrasset, in the capital as well, in Annaba and Skikda. Currently, we have a project with a customer. They have a project in Tamanrasset, in the highway linking Algeria and Mauritania. We also have many more projects in the south and east.
At the center of this momentum is a clear focus on advanced technology and industrial localization. Turkish companies are increasingly looking to introduce modern equipment and transfer expertise in line with Algeria's strategy to strengthen domestic production and reduce reliance on imports.
As I explained earlier, this investment will be long-term. First, we will focus on the satisfaction of our customers through our team in the office. Second, we will establish a workshop which is also necessary for the government to repair, maintain and distribute spare parts for drilling platforms, water pipes and oil equipment available in Algeria. Third, we will study the possibility of establishing a base for assembling or manufacturing drilling platforms.
The numbers reflect the scale of this growing partnership. Trade volume between Algeria and Turkey has surpassed $6 billion, with both countries targeting $10 billion in the coming years. Turkey has also consolidated its position as Algeria's leading foreign investor outside the hydrocarbons sector. Driven by strong political coordination and expanding economic engagement, Algeria and Turkey are moving toward a more integrated strategic partnership, one increasingly centered on infrastructure, industry, and long-term investment.
That marks the end of our newscast. Thank you for your kind attention.